I like how he does push-ups as his idle animation. It fits in well with the tough guy image he has. So this is Ocean Base, and well, I liked it more when I replayed it, but I felt like the level layout was kind of confusing when I first played it. Although I do like the fact that there's arrows showing you where to go sometimes. Like, that's something I can compliment Advance 3's levels for. That a lot of times there's arrows showing you where to go. So it's less likely that you'll get lost, like in Knuckles Chaotix. I really wish that there were arrows pointing you in the direction you need to go in Knuckles Chaotix. But anyways, this is one of the gimmicks of Ocean Base. You land on these moving platforms, and they start to move along a very set path, and it's very obvious what path they're going to move along. These come back in Chaos Angel. No, well, I guess they come back there too, but these come back in Cybertrack Act 3 with a vengeance. Right now they're not so bad though. Although sometimes they lead you into walls, which is annoying. And I don't like how that flying enemy just drops projectiles straight downwards. But yeah, I've already raved on about how great Knuckles and Tails is as a combination. But yeah, it is really convenient. You climb onto a wall and you double jump off it, and then you can instantly start gliding again from a higher height than before, and you feel like you can climb up higher because you can just constantly double jump and glide back onto the wall. There's also these platforms that you stand on them and either they crumble or they fall. Yeah, as you can see, I got kind of lost here. The level design layout is kind of confusing. What you're supposed to do is get up here. I'm not really sure I'm supposed to get up here as someone other than Knuckles, though. Because Knuckles can climb walls. And Sonic can't really do that, and he can't jump high enough to get up to that platform. It's like I'm already 2 minutes in. So I climbed this wall. And now I get to progress. There's also these sand waterfalls that you constantly jump up, and they feel a lot heavier than the ones in Sandopolis, so. Like, you don't feel like you're making nearly as much progress when you jump in them. And I think you have to do a whole bunch of tiny jumps on these platforms, and that's how they rise. Otherwise, they'll keep on falling. I hate those enemies because you have to jump into their heads specifically. If you jump into any other part of them, then they'll end up hurting you. So it's only their head that's vulnerable. And I hate these things. Like, you jump up them so slowly, one at a time. And sand waterfalls doesn't even make sense. It's not like it's a desert. This is an underwater Eggman's base. Why is there sand here? At least with Sandopolis Zone, the sand slides fit the setting. And come to think of it, since it's an underwater base and... Well, the weird thing is, you'd expect this to be a huge water level with all sorts of water everywhere, but there isn't really that many water areas. Like, maybe it's just because I was playing through it as Knuckles, but I found that I could skip most of the water areas just fine, which is good. Oh yeah, there's also these tubes from Chemical Plant Zone again. I don't like how you stop the instant that you're in them for a second or two. But other than that, they're pretty nice. I love how whenever you go into them, you always know that you're progressing with the level. And there's also cannons here, which aren't too hard to work around. You gotta jump instantly when you land on the platform or you'll fall. But yeah, this is an okay level. There's still some cheap enemy placement, but I feel like this is an improvement over the previous levels in a lot of ways. At least that's what I felt when I first got into it. The menu announcer for this game is actually the voice of Big the Cat. It's John St. John. Like, yeah, like you might have noticed, Advance 3 actually introduces voice clips. This is the first 2D Sonic game to have a lot of voice clips in it. So, I don't really like that. Well, I sort of do, and I sort of don't. It's kind of unnecessary. Because, like, every time Sonic does a trick, he goes, yeah! And I guess it's nice to hear, but I don't see why you couldn't have kept the Advance 2 wishing sound effect. There's all sorts of voice clips. It seems unnecessary for a 2D Sonic game, but this is part of the game's scheme to try to make it feel more epic. That along with the levels can last over 6 minutes long, although that's usually not how it's supposed to be. Like, I blame most of that on the fact that I was wandering around in circles for most of the beginning of the level. Most of the time, the levels in this game don't go on really long. Like, in Sonic 3 and Knuckles, a lot of the levels could go on for like 9 minutes. This game doesn't really have levels that are overly long. Instead, it just pads out the game with the hub worlds and the boss fights, although it's not nearly as bad as in Sonic Rush. But yeah, the announcer is John St. John, and Tails actually has a new voice actor. It's William Corkery. I hope you're a fan of nepotism, because he's basically related to the voice of Tails from SA2. Because the Tails from SA2, his voice actor got too old to play the part. Like, you could hear it in... Well, was it him or the SA1 voice actor in Sonic Shuffle? Either way, he sounded like he was deeper in voice. So they had to replace him with William Corkery, who sounded like he's the voice of Tails in Sonic Heroes, and he's pretty infamous. Yeah, Tails' voice in Sonic Heroes is pretty infamous because he sounds really nasally and annoying. It's like the OVA voice. That's a cheap enemy. So, it doesn't really... It's not a problem here, though, because Tails barely ever talks in this game. It's just voice clips. And the voice clips that he has actually sound pretty cute. So, I don't really mind. In retrospect, I feel really stupid not realizing what I was supposed to do here. Apparently, what you're supposed to do is constantly jump up that waterfall, and after you jump up enough, you'll end up progressing through the level. I just assumed that if I jumped up the waterfall, I would be led to a ceiling. I don't know why I assumed that, because there's no other way to progress if you're not Knuckles. Like this water area is completely pointless. Unless you're going in here to get the Chow. The only reason you're... Like, it's not mandatory or anything like that. It just... I wish that the arrow signs that were pointing to the left at the beginning of the level were pointing up as well as left. Then it would have made it more obvious. Instead, I resorted to doing this. And this is a perfect example of how great the double jump is for Knuckles. It perfectly complements his abilities. Knuckles should have had this in the first place. This is something that Knuckles should have had since the very beginning. Although he still turns like a tank in midair, which is awkward. Like sometimes I jump off the wall and I'm gliding in the wrong direction. Like I'm trying to glide a certain way and I somehow glide the other way. But yeah, this is what his double jump lets you do. This combination is so great for exploration. So yeah, that was a pretty inventive way of getting through the level. I'm pretty sure this wasn't how it was intended to be. But I was so confused. Like, I thought like that this was such a black mark on the level design, because it's so confusing and unintuitive how you're supposed to progress, that I ended up resorting to that of all things. But this level isn't too bad. I mean, the sand waterfalls are annoying, and the theme is very forgettable. Like, I don't even remember what it sounds like. Thankfully, you can skip those annoying propeller things by just... Like, if you're Knuckles, you can climb up the walls. And if you're Tails, you can fly. Although you can't fly for very long before getting tired out. That's why I prefer playing as Knuckles over Tails here, because there's no limit to how long you can climb up walls or glide. But with Tails, he can only fly for a short amount of time. And he flies upwards really slowly. So you're better off breaking the levels and exploring them with Knuckles. But yeah, Tails is voiced by William Corkery, and Cream's voice is Sarah Wolfeck, the voice from Sonic Heroes. And her voice is really squeaky and annoying. Like, I didn't mind her in Sonic Advance 2. And I don't entirely mind her as a character. I think a lot of the reason why she's so unpopular is that she has such a high-pitched and squeaky voice, trying so hard to make her sound cute. And I know that's her whole appeal, that in fact she's polite. How was I supposed to avoid that? That just brings me straight into the enemy. And Knuckles doesn't have any air tricks. So he can't do a forwards air trick to make it so that he can attack enemies after he's being launched from a spring. And even then you have to press his dodge. For the most part, the enemy placement isn't that cheap though. But yeah, a big problem with Spike's wonderful. But yeah, a big problem with Cream is that her voice has always been really squeaky and high-pitched, which annoys a lot of people. Like, when I read her dialogue in Advance 2, I imagined her having a normal little girl sounding voice. Like, not too high-pitched. Sounded pretty normal, pretty sympathetic. I don't know why they decided to... Yeah, there's a lot of crusher blocks in this level. There's a lot of instances where you have low ceilings, and there's a very precise timing for walking under them. Like, this is the part of the game where... Like, there's a part of this level where I remember dying to a crusher block. Like this is when I was playing the game on the actual cartridge. I would get all the way to a crusher block, and I would die to it multiple times in a row. And it's not like there was a checkpoint right before it. So I felt really annoyed having to repeat sections of the level over and over again. Like, that was the only time that I really had a lot of trouble with the crusher blocks. Why did I jump on top of that thing? That was silly. But thankfully, the checkpoint is right next to it. Best placed checkpoint in the game. But yeah, the crusher blocks weren't nearly as much of a problem as I thought it was going to be. In fact, I got crushed in Huge Crisis in Sonic Rush a lot more than I did in this game. At least when it comes to crusher blocks anyways. You can also get crushed by a platform sending you upwards into a ceiling. But I only remember that happening twice. You've got these platforms from Labyrinth Zone back. Thankfully you can skip them just by gliding as Knuckles. Oh, here it is. This is a really intimidating and precise crusher block section. That's why I made save states every single time that I went past one of these things. Because I didn't want to repeat sections of the level over again, which is what you'd have to do if you played the game on an actual cartridge. Because there's not a checkpoint right before that. I like Tails' victory animation. It's pretty cute. This is actually the only Sonic Advance game that doesn't have a tiny Chow Garden. I'm not really sure why that is. I mean, Sonic Heroes didn't have a Chow Garden, but that's really no excuse. Well, I guess it is. I mean, Sonic Advance 1 and 2 were compatible with SA1 and 2, but SA1 and 2 couldn't be compatible with Advance 3 because it was made a lot later than them, so... And there's no point having a tiny Chow Garden if you can't transport it to a console Chow Garden, because the console Chow Gardens have a lot more to them. So I guess it makes sense. God damn it. I didn't want to go to the boss. I wanted to go to the third act ring. Why is it so tedious just navigating around these places? Why can't it just be a straight line? Why can't you just go to the right and there's all the act rings, and past all the act ring is the boss area and the special stage area? This is so overly complicated. And I don't like the placement of that enemy. I haven't shown off Sonic and Knuckles and Sonic yet. I'm gonna show off that later. But yeah, this level has a pretty forgettable soundtrack to it. As for the soundtrack of this game as a whole, it's pretty good. Although it's also kind of mixed. Like it's a mixed bag. God, I hate these enemies. Why is that when you jump at them from the left or right, you get hurt by the things that are spinning around them? Why can't you just jump into them and that kills them? That would have been so much more simple and fun. Like these enemies, the purple enemies look like they're beginner enemies. So it shouldn't be so difficult just to jump into them. But anyways, the soundtrack of this game is surprisingly lazy in that most of its songs are remixes of earlier songs of the franchise. Route 99 is a remix of Tails' Lab theme from Sonic Battle. Alter Emerald's theme is a remix of Holy Summit from Sonic Battle. And the song for the Supersonic section is a remix of Emerald's theme, again from Sonic Battle. And the main menu music is, as I mentioned before, a remix of the Chow Race music in Sonic Adventure 2. And of course, Sunset Hills remix is a Green Hill Zone. And this game sound test, just like in Sonic Advance 2, it doesn't really have any songs like 16-bit remixes of the Genesis songs. The sound test isn't really worth showing off. It's only unlocked by beating the final boss of Alter Emerald. Like, I don't know why you have to beat the game to unlock the sound test. I mean, I guess it could be a spoiler because you can hear music and sound tests from later in the game. So I don't know, I guess it's all part of the effort to make this game feel more epic. Because it's like, you don't want to spoil the rest of the game, do you? But listening to the music isn't really that much of a spoiler, is it? I don't know, I don't think a sound test is something that should be an unlockable. I think it's something that should be available right from the start. I like how these things suck you in, because it makes it a lot easier for you to get into them. And I never feel like I'm sucked into them when I don't want to be. That sand slide sent you pretty fast. So I like that. And now we come to a really short water area. Like, you can just run along the surface of this water. Like, the water areas in Ocean Base aren't nearly as bad as you'd expect. Like, you'd expect a level called Ocean Base to be like Labyrinth Zone. It's like, it's kind of a missed opportunity because like Sonic's afraid of water. He's terrified of drowning. So you'd think that Eggman would make more of an effort to make bases that are underwater. So you'd think that with the level called Ocean Base, they would have a whole bunch of water areas, but all of them can be skipped really easily. Again, I was playing it as Knuckles, but still. That's a compliment I can give to the level. It doesn't have nearly as many annoying water areas as I thought it would. And that's good, because it's sort of got the Sonic Advance 2 physics. You're a lot faster and stuff. So, having a water area full of platforming wouldn't really mesh well with the rest of the game. And now we come to the easiest boss in the game. This boss is pathetically easy. He does have an attack where he can go down instead of just landing, but that never actually happened to me. Like, I played this boss twice, and all I had to do in it was stand between the two legs and jump. Like, this boss is so easy that I don't even find that enjoyable. And a boss has to be really easy for me to find it boring. The only problem I have with this boss is that he moves from left to right so much faster than you do, while you accelerate from the standstill so slowly, so it can be kind of nerve-wracking trying to position yourself between the legs in time. Cause like, he's moving so fast, and you only have a small amount of time before you can position yourself in exactly the right way. But I never had any problem with this boss whatsoever. Like, you just stand there and jump. So I like this boss. It's not frustrating at all. So now we've finally beaten Ocean Base. Unfortunately, the level coming after this is kind of bland. I mean, we're coming up to Toy Kingdom, right? Toy Kingdom it's not a bad level in any way. It's not frustrating. It's not tedious and it's not difficult to figure out how you're supposed to progress. It's okay. It's just kind of underwhelming. See you in the next part.